Hi friends, it's John. You're on the JRB Tree Climbing channel, and I'd like to show you how I tie the water knot and what I call the double water knot, which is simply two water knots tied in series for certain applications. Here I have a water knot that I probably fashioned 10 years ago out of a loop of tubular webbing. And I've used this for a number of applications, and it's had quite a load on it, and it is just rock solid. And yet, even though I've exhibited a heavy load on this, I know I could get it open if I needed to, maybe with finger strength or maybe with the assistance of a flathead screwdriver. I could get this open. The water knot needs to be set properly with a good load to get it nice and tight, and we always want to leave a healthy long tail. Here's another exhibit. This one was tied with flat webbing instead of tubular webbing, and you can see I've left adequately long tails. I understand that if a water knot were to begin to compromise, it compromises by the tails getting pulled into the knot. And so as I climb with the assistance of web, slings, and water knots, I will inspect them to make sure they're secure and also inspect the size of my tails. Here I have one that I just fashioned for work in the lab, and these tails would be too short for any kind of a life safety application. When we cut webbing, whether it's nylon or polyester, if we don't take care of the ends, they will get frayed. And so I will simply apply a flame to the end of the webbing as soon as I cut it and seal that nice and tight. I have a convention whereby when I cut webbing, I always will put the length specification, what I cut, just because sometimes you'll want to duplicate something you've already done or make something a little bigger or a little smaller. So that's my length in inches for this one that I just cut. And we're going to tie our first water knot. So the water knot is effectively the marriage of two overhand knots. The overhand knot being the most basic knot in the book. That's a simple overhand knot. But make note that even though we can start an overhand knot with an overhand loop, we can also start an overhand knot with an underhand loop. And that's important. It's still called an overhand knot, but we will be making that distinction in our water knot exploration today. So here I have a length of 72 inches of flat nylon webbing, and I will start on the one end by forming an overhand knot, and I will form it in this fashion. So that's approximately the size of the tail that I want to leave. Now, reaching around to the other end of the webbing, I'm going to simply follow through this overhand knot. Now, it's important that we have two sides to follow. This side, this is what I call a dead end, because you really can't, you could, but it would require some careful work to get this threaded around from the inside. When it hits that other piece of webbing, it's difficult. I call that a dead end. It's much easier to go on the outside and follow around the top, I'm simply following the other piece of webbing. And there we have a water knot. Now I haven't set it. Let's say I want my tails a little bit shorter. I can kind of wiggle this back and forth together. And look, I've got my tails to disappear. I want my tails longer. Do the same thing. Just a little wiggle and jiggle. Get those tails adequately long. And I would set this with my body weight. I would simply set it by applying my body weight. This double water knot is a little bit tricky, and I'm going to show you why. But it does have application in many applications I use it for, and this is one of them. So this is a foot loop with my JRB ascender hitch, and I have a loop of webbing to accept my foot. And I don't want the knot in the water knot to drift down and rub against my ankles. I want it to stay up here. And so I simply created a double water knot. Arguably, this can't be weaker than a water knot. It could only be as strong or stronger. I haven't done formal testing on it, and I tend to use it where I want ultimate security, some redundancy in the knot itself, or for it to stay in place in an application like this. Okay, so let's untie this and tie a double water knot. And I'm going to start with a failed attempt. And I'll do it in this fashion. So I'm going to be forming 2 overhand knots on this piece of webbing. And I'll do it in the same exact way. So I'm using a little bit more for it. So I'm going to start by folding the web over my finger and then to the right. So that's my first overhand knot. Over my finger and to the right. And as is human nature, I might do the same thing. If I do that again, over my finger and to the right, it looks like I've got the beginning of a double water knot. And it is possible to tie it, but you'll hit a dead end. So let's go ahead and trace that. With my right hand, I'll start tracing this back, up and around, over and through, and look what happened. I'm hitting a dead end. So how do we get around that? Well, the first thing to notice is that when I tied my overhand knot identical fashion, it made a little bit of a right turn and then another right turn. That's controllable though, right? I could have formed my overhand knot to the left and straightened that out, and then kind of maintain a straight orientation overall. So we have some control over that directionality. But here's the trick. Here's the trick to avoiding the dead end. This was an overhand knot that I formed this with. We'll start over. I'm going over my finger and to the right. The trick to avoiding the dead end is without changing your orientation. Here, I'm going to, instead of forming an overhand knot, I'm going to form an underhand knot. And I'll shoot this one off to the right. So this would be how I tied this. If I wanted it to go straight, go that way. Either way, it will complete. This one's an overhand knot, this one's an underhand knot. Okay, so let's watch us trace that back through. Okay. I'm simply following the piece of webbing. And now look what happens. I'm on the right side. I can keep going. And here I have a double overhand knot, a double water knot. And again, the relative orientation of the webbing, it takes a jaunt to the left and a jaunt to the right. I will do this one more time. And this time we'll take a right turn and a right turn. Okay, so I will start with an overhand, going over my finger, over and to the right. And now I'm going to go under, put my finger under it and to the right. Did you catch the difference there? Instead of going over, I'm going under. You save yourself some time by putting them at the right distance apart, however close or far apart you want them. So I want about a 4-inch tail. I want a couple inches between them. And now I will follow up the right side. Now there's some judgment involved with how much to use, and it's always more than you think to bring into it. So it's a little bit short with my tail. Now, of course, I'd have to work that out. But you get the idea. Get the idea in one continuous exercise. I was able to, you can see what I'm doing here, I'm just walking the overhand knot down. Get that where I want it to be, and then I would set that. Okay, there you have it. Water knot and double water knot, JRB style. Thank you.